Good evening. I want to welcome everyone to our live event. Thank you for attending. Tonight we're going to talk about just a few things, our wellness plan, getting your physical, and then just a couple of other things towards the end. Usually around this time of year, we have about 50 or 60% of our employees have already had their physical. We got our monthly report from Blue Cross last week, and as of today, a significant number of employees have not had their physical. So what we wanted to do tonight was cover some information that's going to help you because of the short time that's left in the plan, and we'll talk about that. But we wanted to give you some information that might help with that. And we'll be taking your questions as we go. So submit your questions in the chat box. We're going to hold off answering those questions until we get to the end of the event. Remember, you have to have a YouTube account to post a question in the chat box. If you already have an account, go ahead and subscribe to our channel, hit the like button, and turn on the bell notifications so that you don't miss anything that we may be doing in the future. This shouldn't take more than about 20 or 30 minutes, depending on the questions, so we'll go ahead and get to it. Before we get started, though, I did want to talk for just a minute about our One Watson app. We designed the app a few years ago. This is our primary source of communication with our footprint over 3 or 4 states and most of our employees on job sites. It's hard to get information out, so we designed this app to help with that. It's a great tool. We post information in the app several times a week. Also, there's lots of resources in the app, as you can see on the screen. We've got an internal job board. All of our employee benefit information is in there. We've got the kiosk where you can get your W-2 form and your check stub. The vacation balance is in there. We've got company information in there. We'll be posting this video in the app in the next day or two. Safety information is in there. You can literally call a safety representative at the click of a tile. And then lots of training and education information is in there as well. We wanted to do this so that you had lots of resources and we could get that information out there to you. So make sure you have the app downloaded on your phone. If you don't have the app, contact Cameron Sargent in our social media group. You see her email address on the left-hand side. She can also help you if you want to put the app on a different device or a second device. She can help with that as well. But always make sure you got those notifications turned on so that you see as soon as we post information. So let's talk about the health plan for just a minute. When we talk about our group health plan, always remember we're self-insured for group health. Blue Cross processes the claim, but they draft our checking account to pay those claims. And so you can see in that graphic on the right-hand side, you go and get medical care. Blue Cross sends the provider sends the bill to Blue Cross. Blue Cross pays the claim, and as that cycle goes through, we have an annual amount that we pay for our health plan. And so the cost of that plan affects the premiums that you pay for the health insurance. It's basically a direct function of that. It also affects how we bid work. Our health plan is the largest overhead item we have on the books, so the lower the cost, the more competitive we can be with our bids. If our cost is running over budget, it makes competing with our bids a little bit harder. The best way to control cost on that health plan is with preventive care. We've talked about this several times. If we catch things early, generally that means they cost less. If we have something that's left untreated, the condition typically worsens and that causes the cost to go up, and that in turn makes the premiums go up as well. So we created a wellness incentive plan. But before we talk about that, let's get a good definition of what the wellness is. If you look on the screen, the Global Wellness Institute defines wellness as the active pursuit of activities, choices, and lifestyles that lead to a state of holistic health. Notice that definition gives you the impression of someone who is proactive, preventive, and choosing to be responsible. You can see on this slide here the relationship between being proactive and reacting. You can also see that there is a path to choose. Wellness said we talked about choices and activities. Well, you can see on the screen that you can choose to a path that says a healthy lifestyle, optimal health, and decreased cost. You can also choose a path that says you're going to be more reactive, and that's going to result in increased cost. similar graph here that says I can go in the direction of remaining healthy by getting the wellness checkups, getting preventive steps. Again, there's lifestyle changes, or I can be in the direction that says I've got increased medical care resulting in poor health. So now that we've defined what wellness is, let's talk just a minute about the wellness incentive plan. Remember, you can find that on the app. On the main screen, click on the tile that says employee information. Click on the tile on the next screen that says the wellness program, and you'll see the wellness program pop up. We're not going to cover it in detail tonight, but we are going to talk about just a few highlights. You see that it's voluntary, it's not required. You don't have to participate. That kind of follows along with that definition we talked about just a minute ago that talked about decisions and choices. One thing you do have to do if you're going to participate in the plan, you have to get a physical. This isn't new. We've had this in our plan for a number of years. Remember, the deadline is September 30th. One of the reasons we're talking tonight is because that's less than 90 days away. Remember, the claim has to be filed through the Blue Cross and Blue Shield system. You cannot bring us documents. We don't want documents. And one of the more critical things is if you have employee-only coverage or employee and child coverage, the employee is the one required to get the physical. If you have family coverage, you and your covered spouse both have to get the physical. If your spouse gets the physical and you don't qualify for the discount. If you get the physical and the spouse doesn't, you don't qualify for the discount. It's both of you. So let's just say that one more time. If you're on employee only or employee and child coverage, the employee gets the physical. If you're on the family coverage, both you and your spouse have to have the physical. Why are we talking about spouses? Why are we including spouses and saying a spouse has to get a physical? Over 50% of the cost of our plan in a given year, over the last 2 or 3 years, over 50% of that cost comes from spouses. So we want spouses engaged with us on this journey of wellness. So remember, it's got to come through the Blue Cross system, got to be done by September 30th, and that's less than 90 days away. So if we're talking about physicals, let's talk about what we do with a physical. Keep in mind, we've got our own Blue Cross plan. We're not the state health plan. Unfortunately, when you call the doctor and they ask you what your insurance coverage is, when you say Blue Cross and Blue Shield, they're going to assume that you're on the state health plan. And then they're going to turn around and tell you you have to wait 365 days to get your physical. That happened to me just recently when I scheduled mine. I got mine in late August, early September last year, and they immediately said, Mr. Garren, you're going to have to wait 365 days, and so that'll be, no, that's not true for us. Our plan says one physical in a calendar year. I can get a physical today, even if I got my last physical last year in September. I don't have to wait, and doctors don't understand that. So one of the reasons we're talking tonight is to give you some tools and resources that'll help you talk with that doctor's office so that this gets through like we need it to get through. So one of the first things you need to do right now is get the appointment made. Doctors are backed up. They're backed up from the pandemic. They've got lots of patients they're seeing. And in some cases, doctors only do physicals on certain days of the week. So because our deadline is September 30th and you've got less than 90 days away, you need to get on the phone today and make that appointment. If you can't get an appointment with your doctor, then some other doctors that are in the Blue Network are also an option for you. It's something like an urgent care. A lot of urgent cares are in the Blue Cross Network, so that's an option for you as well. Now, when you do make your appointment, take your card with you. Show them your card when you're checking in because it's got our plan identification information on it. Make sure that they confirm that yes, you're here for a physical, yes, it's covered by 100%, and there's no copay for you. If there are questions, have them call Blue Cross. The phone number's on the back of the card. I remember when I got my physical a number of years ago, I walked in, checked in, the lady that checked me in, I'm here for a physical, yes I am. Mr. Garren, you owe me a copay of $25. No, I don't. She immediately wanted to start arguing with me. Pointed at a sign above my head that said, we collect a copay at every office visit. And she said it loud enough for everybody in the lobby to hear. So I politely said, here's my card. Why don't you go call Blue Cross? Whatever Blue Cross tells you over the telephone, that's what we'll do. She huffed and puffed and walked away. Came back about 5 minutes later, and quietly under her breath, she said, you don't owe me anything. Well, being the smart aleck that I can be every now and then, I said, excuse me, really, really loud, so that everybody in the lobby also heard her, or heard me. Long and short of it is, I wasn't going to win that argument with her unless I had my card with me. So make sure you take your card with you. Show them your card when you're checking in and have them verify that you're there for the physical. Now, once you're in there, doctors usually ask questions. How are you doing? Anything bothering you? Anything going on? Be careful how you answer that question. How you answer that question could change your physical or your wellness visit to a sick visit. Doctors get paid more money for a sick visit than a wellness checkup or a wellness visit. Now, make sure you hear me very clearly. I am not going to stand here and tell you what conversation you should have with your doctor while you're there. What I am going to tell you is what I do and what I say. Because I know they can change that visit, which will mess me up. When they ask me, how are you doing? Are you doing okay? Is there anything bothering you, whatever? I say, Doc, I'm doing fine. I'm willing to go back another time, pay for another visit, than I am to mess this one up and pay a higher premium for another whole year. Now that's me. That works for me. You need to do what's best for you. But just recognize that what you say in that doctor's office can change your visit from a sick visit to, or from a preventive visit to a sick visit, which will in turn affect your premium discount for next year. The other thing you want to do before you leave is, as you're checking out, that person is checking you out, ask them the question, verify with them, you have my visit coded as a physical, is that right? They should come back and tell you yes. If they don't, do not leave. You want to stand there and clear that up with them before you leave. If you walk out and it's not right, odds are it's not going to get fixed later and you're going to miss out on the premium discount. We have had doctors in the past refuse to change the code after the visit. So make sure you're asking the question before you leave. You have that coded as a physical, correct? Make them verify that for you. So let's review. You want to get the appointment scheduled and the physical done by September 30th. The claim doesn't have to be filed by then. Just make sure you get your visit scheduled and you get that taken care of before September 30th. We get a file from Blue Cross every month around the 10th of the month, and then we'll post all the information that we've gotten updated in the app around the 15th of the month. So on once a month basis, around the middle of the month, you should see that physical show up in the app. Now, keep in mind, it takes doctors 30 days to bill, and generally it'll take Blue Cross around 30 days to process the bill. So that's about a 2-month lag. So there is a possibility you won't see that in the app, but what you can do is get online with Blue Cross and check the claim. It'll be there. You get online, there's the website on the screen. Log in, set you up an account, and you can see your claims. Pick the claim that matches the date you were there for your physical and look at your claim. You should see on that claim that you don't owe any money. That's a good indication that it's probably been filed correctly. If you don't want to go to all that trouble, then just look on the back of your ID card. There's a phone number for Blue Cross and Blue Shield. Call them up, ask them, do they have your claim on file? Was it coded as a physical? And they'll be glad to talk with you and help you with that. Now, thinking out a little bit farther, we're going to get to open enrollment in October. We'll have a live event sometime in October. We'll let you know when that date's going to be. That'll be another YouTube event. So if you're getting your physical in August or September, then odds are when we get to open enrollment, you're not going to see the discounted rates. That's okay. Don't send us anything. We know your claim's going to be in process. Again, we get files from Blue Cross each month, so we'll update October, we'll update November, and we'll update December. We make those changes each month all the way through the end of the year. And as we do that, we're going to make sure payroll's right for January 1. That's why, again, you want to make sure that everything's right before you walk out of the door with that doctor's office so that you don't have to worry about all this. Again, you can get online, or you can have a conversation with Blue and ask them if they've got your file. Also, keep watching the app. We'll update the app each month as well. So an added benefit we wanted to make sure you knew about was the ancillary benefits that we have in place today. Many of you are enrolled in either an accident policy or a critical illness policy or a hospital indemnity policy. Each one of those policies has a wellness benefit attached to it. Meaning if you get this physical we're talking about, not only will you satisfy the requirement for the discounted premium in 23, you'll also be able to file a claim for a wellness benefit through one of these policies for the amount of money that they have. So if you have the accident plan, there's a $100 wellness benefit. If you have the critical illness or the hospital indemnity plan, there's a $50 benefit. So you see the website at the bottom of the screen. You can go to that website, get a claim form. If you're enrolled in one or more of these plans, then you can file a claim on each one you're enrolled in and get a cash benefit for getting this same physical that also satisfies the wellness plan. So don't worry about writing that website down. We're going to post this video in the app in the next day or so you can go back and reference it and see the websites that we're talking about if you want to reference those down the road. Now, last thing we wanted to talk about, since we're talking about wellness, is earlier this year, we launched a new wellness portal called Rally. This is a Blue Cross and Blue Shield wellness portal. The Get Started guide is in the One Watson app, so you can go to the app, read the guide, and see about getting it set up. One thing you're going to want to make sure of is that you are using a laptop or a desktop to set up your account. For whatever reason, Rally does not like trying to do this through a mobile device. So just make sure you're on a laptop or a desktop. It's a really unique wellness portal. It's basically because it's tied with Blue Cross and Blue Shield. It's using your claims experience to give you a personalized experience when you log into Rally. So if I have claims history around high blood pressure, it's going to encourage me to engage in activities that will help me with my blood pressure. The same is true of any other conditions. It's very user-friendly. So once you get started, one of the first things it's going to ask you to do is do a health survey. That'll help with that user experience as well. Then you can set some goals for yourself. You can participate in challenges and missions. You can earn rewards. Rewards come in the form of either coins or gift cards. There are communities out there, so to the extent, for instance, you have trouble sleeping at night, there's a social media experience where you can get into that community and see what others say that they do that help them with not being able to sleep. So there's tons of resources out there. Of course, the best thing about it is you get rewarded. So there are gift cards. Again, we talk about coins. You can use coins in the marketplace. You can use those coins for auctions. You can make donations to your favorite charities. You can cash in the gift cards. So everything that you do within the app has some kind of reward with it. So we're really excited about it. We encourage you to sign up and participate. Again, this goes back to that definition of wellness, making the choices and engaging in the activities that lead you to a healthier lifestyle. So that is all we had for what we wanted to go over with you tonight. One of the things we wanted to make sure of is that you had the information this late in the game. We wanted to make sure you had enough information that said, if I call my doctor to schedule my appointment and I get this feedback that says I can't, that's not true, you can. So we wanted to just kind of shake the tree a little bit and say, hey, if you hadn't gotten it done, we're running out of time. Want to make sure you get it done and you have those tools and information to push back with the doctors when they say, no, you can't have that now. So if you have a question, post it in the chat box real quick. We'll be glad to address that. Again, the concern is there are a number of people, a large number of people who've not gotten that physical done yet. So we want to make sure you have this information. So one of the questions that we had was, I just got my physical done in June and I don't see it in the app. Remember, we talked about a minute ago, there's about a 30 or a 60-day lag time between what the doctor bills and what Blue Cross shows or processes in the claim. So we're in July, got that physical in June, not going to see that right away. May show up in the next file that we have. So keep in mind about that lag. Another question is, I got my physical back in February and I don't see it showing up in the app. Okay, great question. One of those responses is going to be, more than likely at this late stage, it wasn't coded correctly. So I would get on the phone with the doctor's office first. Did they file it as a claim? If they're telling you yes, then I would call Blue Cross, use the number on the back of the card, call Blue Cross, ask them what they see in the claim system, and start working that out to see why it's not coded as a physical. Another question is, I'm new this year, do I have to participate? New employees that are new on the plan in 2022, we give them an exempt status because they weren't here when we launched the plan. So there's nothing for you to do right away, but we will launch a new wellness plan when we get to open enrollment in 2020, this October open enrollment. So if you're new to the plan in 2022, nothing for you to do right away. Another question is, I'm not on the health plan, do I have to go through all this? No, don't have to. But again, we offer this for our folks that are on the health plan, but anybody can participate. We certainly encourage everyone to get a physical every year just to stay on top of their health for the benefit of themselves and their families. Let's see if any other questions come in. All right. No more questions. Very good. Well, again, thanks for joining us. We appreciate you taking time out of your day to join us. We wanted to make sure you had this information. If you know somebody who didn't sign in and participate tonight, talk with them on the job site tomorrow. Tell them to get on the app. We've recorded this, so it'll be available on the app for them to see as well. And of course, spread the word. Everybody that wants to be eligible for that discount needs to get that physical really, really fast. So spread the word.